Hello everyone, and welcome back to another historical video tour. This is NS Steampunk here in Oakland, Maryland. Today we're going to look at a very familiar and historic steam locomotive here on display. This is the Jonesboro, Lake City and Eastern Railroad steam locomotive number 40. It was later Mississippian Railway number 76. The locomotive was built in December 1920 by the Baldwin Locomotive Works and originally hauled trains in northeast Arkansas on the Jonesboro, Lake Erie and Eastern Railroad as number 40. It primarily hauled timber to the sawmills. The locomotive was leased in January 1925 and then sold to the St. Louis-San Francisco Railway Company. Frisco took over operations on July 7th of that year, and the locomotive was renumbered to number 76 in 1926. On January 10, 1948, the locomotive was sold to the 24-mile Mississippian Railway, known as the Bentonite Road. It was involved with the clay bonding material produced by a Smith Mill bentonite plant constructed in 1944. It pulled carloads of freight and lumber between the Frisco Railway at Ameroy and Fulton, Mississippi. In September of 1967, this locomotive began operating on the Penview Mountain Railroad located at Pack Saddle Gap near Blairsville, Pennsylvania, which was started by Sloan Cornell, who later operated the Gettysburg Railroad, which I'll mention a little bit later, as well as the Knox and Kane Railroad. This line ran about 2.25 miles on privately owned trackage with 2 switchbacks and 4% grades. The engine operated with DeQuincy Slag Products 060 number 8. Up until 1974 due to being a victim of high taxes, and during that time was when the railroad closed. In July of 1976, at the same time that America was celebrating its bicentennial, number 76 went to the Gettysburg Railroad shortline operation, where it began hauling tourists through the historic Civil War battleground from Gettysburg to Biglersville in October of that year. It also operated occasional excursions to Mount Holly. Operated on the Gettysburg Railroad until about late 1990s, or I'd say about 1995, when it was sent to the Ohio Central Railroad in 1999. It was stored up with Canadian Pacific 1278. I'm sure many of you know about that locomotive very well, at the Morgan Run Shops near Coshocton, Ohio, until then being moved to Wausau, Michigan in June 2005. In December of 2017, the Oakland B&O Museum received a donation from the Daniel E. Ofert III Charitable Trust to acquire number 76. The locomotive left for Oakland, Maryland in early 2018 and was renumbered number 476 to resemble a Baltimore and Ohio Railroad locomotive. Although the old number 76 is no longer operational, her sister number 77 today operates at the Alberta Prairie Railroad in Alberta, Canada. The tender, as you can see, mated here with this locomotive, was previously in operational service with Arcade and Attica Railroad's engine number 18 and was acquired by the museum in July 2018 as part of a swap. Now I'm going to talk a little bit about the specifications of this locomotive here. It was originally built by Baldwin Locomotive Works in December 1920. It's classified as a 10-32E174. The weight is 243,600 pounds. The driver diameter is 48 inches. The tender capacity can hold 4,500 gallons of water and 10 tons of soft coal. The cylinder diameter is a 19-inch stroke with 24-inch drivers. The steam pressure can pop off between 185 and 200 pounds per square inch. The boiler plant is a 54-inch extended wagon top stack. The valve gear is a Walschaerts, and its length is 61 feet by 3 3/4. I'll do one more quick walk around tour of this locomotive here. This here is known as the steam chest, also known as the piston. This is where the throttle is opened in the steam valve. The steam is then sent through the boiler tubes up to the smoke box, through the smoke pipe, and all that steam that's going through the blast pipe is also sent down here to the piston. The steam will drive the piston one way, then alternate in the other direction, and then you get the chug, chug, chug sound, which turns the wheel and makes the locomotive go. These right here are the air pumps which supply air for the brakes. As you can see right here, this is the fireman's side. Now this side right here is the engineer's side. So as you can see, we can't go too far here because there is a gate right here, but I can show you kind of briefly here. This is the bunker which stores the coal. The fireman's job was to stoke the fire, to boil the water to make an equitable and safe amount of steam, whereas the engineer's job was to operate the locomotive and know what all the controls were. So this is the side looking out of the engineer's perspective. The water injectors help put water in the boiler. The water goes from the tender into the top of the boiler through a check valve. In order for the locomotive to gain traction in the event that there would be any wheel slip, we have a sanding dome on top which squirts sand down a pipe onto the wheel so that way the drive wheels can gain traction. This right here is the firebox. There was a grate shaker up inside the cab, and then we also have one which opens the ash pan. Those are your brake pads on the locomotive, as well as your eccentric rod, your valve gear. You got your builder's plate and the smoke box. So all the steam goes from the back of the boiler, the fire boils the water, and the steam goes from the back of the boiler through the tubes up to the smoke box and out of the smokestack through the blast pipe. And right up there is the headlight, which was originally powered by a steam-powered generator known as a dynamo. The cow catcher was an early design used to help push cows off the tracks, hence that's how the term got its name, and that's how the name stuck. Thank you all for watching this video. If you enjoyed it, please like and subscribe, and I'll see you in my next video. NS Steampunk reporting live in Oakland, Maryland. Tower 93, over and out.